What's up, weekenders? Welcome back to Tyrrell Time and Grand Prix World. I'm Ricardo Rossett. Please don't hate me. Taking a look at the news today, um, actually, you can see straight away that most of the team sponsors have actually been hoovered up, which is fine because we got ours in early. Playlife are partnering up with Arrows, who are having a hell of a season, so it's not totally surprising. Jordan 2 are in good form and they've picked up one of the top team sponsors for next season. And Winfried have moved from Williams to McLaren. Spicy. Eddie Irvine continues to have a really great season. He's still in the running for the Drivers' Championship, I believe. Williams have signed a works deal with Goodyear. Anything else? Our drivers are complaining about poor performance, but the car is awful and I'm not developing it because it's just a bad car. Ferrari and Goodyear have entered into a partnership. That's bad news for Ferrari. That means they have no works development oversight on next year's tyres. Anything else going on? A few sponsors being picked up. Sauber stole Petronas from us. Stewart stole British Aerospace. Those wily bastards. We would have got away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling kids. In terms of next year's car, actually, progress is starting to pick up at quite a good rate, actually. Another round to run on the CFD simulation phase, and then we will move forward. So we've got time to build ourselves some cars for next year. We have some spare parts to bash out as well. A little bit of a morale hit means that we're no longer producing 3 per turn, but only 2, which sucks. There are, however, some new construction staff available. How many have we got? Oh, we had less than I realised. Okay, then let's fill us up. Guess some guys must have left, actually. That can happen, but usually it happens between seasons. In terms of sponsorships, still not really that much closer to our works deal with Mobile, but if we can get a partnership, that's already a pretty big coup for us. Our 2-season tyre sponsorship deal sucks and isn't going anywhere. We've still not got our partnership in place with Mugen Honda either, nor our guarantee with Red Bull. Now, if I recall correctly, we're no longer speaking. Oh, actually, no, we're speaking to Komatsu. No, we're not. So we're not actually speaking to anybody on the cash sponsor side because we are prioritizing our supply deals. I mean, we could always choose to pay up. It's not hugely expensive, but if we can get the works deal, that's pretty big. And a 2-season partnership deal is actually really important. I'd rather not at this stage lock us into a 2-season customer deal for tyres. And do you know what I'm thinking? You've probably already guessed. I'm going to drop this down to 20%. We don't have long left in the season. We really need to start getting Bridgestone to play ball here. There we go. We're running hospitality again, a little on the budget side, but I think it's important that we bring these guys along, show them the best time we can afford to. Can we get Bridgestone to come? We can get Bridgestone to come. We still want to bring Mugen Honda along as well. Okay. Right then, what condition are our race cars in? I forgot how to do words there. You may have detected. It's been a long Saturday. I hope you've all had an excellent week, as far as is possible. I mean, I know work, college, school, whatever it is you're doing, unless you have the fortuitous circumstances in which you're retired, makes it hard to have a good week. Apparently, we have some deals in place for next year. These must be multi-year deals that we signed last year. My memory is really starting to fail me with my age. Okay, everyone's tickety-boo and happy. Still not doing any testing because aside from setup, it's not going to help. We will again have both drivers on the soft tyres because that yielded some success for us last time out. The new engine has also yielded some benefit, although not necessarily in the areas that were most important to us. 20 degrees and cloudy for your qualifying session. Let's see if we can do anything here. 15th and 16th, that's definitely an improvement. We are moving forward despite not developing the car. We're now about 3/10 ahead of the Prosts in quali trim, and about half a second or more ahead of the Benettons and Stewarts. That's a healthy margin. Of course, we're still lagging behind the Minardis, but they have works Ferrari power, and that's one of the better engines this season. Up at the sharp end, though, David Coulthard is your pole sitter on a 123.520. Right behind him, former teammate Mika Hakkinen in the Williams on a 123.521, so a fraction of a second separating them there. Eddie Irvine puts his arrows in third. The Jordans continue their very strong quali form, P4 for Fisichella leading Panis, and Esteban Tuero in the second Williams lines up in P6. Superb. 24 degrees, dry, very, very strong wind. We don't really know what that means for us, but we will figure it out. Right, we need to figure out where we're stopping everyone. I'm going to put Takagi on fresh boots every stop, and he will stop every 20 laps. Oh wow, it's already stopped them pitting on the same lap. That's pretty dope. I will give him heat cycled tyres for his second and third stint and just see if that lends any benefit. For those of you who weren't around in the 90s or weren't watching F1, the tyres were very interesting actually. I think the best tyre war we saw in the sport was actually this era between Bridgestone and Goodyear, because Bridgestone came in 97, if memory serves, as sort of the upstart, and initially there was quite a performance disparity, but by the end of 97 and going into 98, the Bridgestones already had a fairly strong advantage in certain circuits, and around this time it was track dependent a little bit, but it could be that you actually got a faster quali lap on the second or third fast lap with your tyres. It was also entirely possible to be faster in race trim on tyres that had been scrubbed or heat cycled, which means they'd been brought up to racing temperature on the car and then cooled off. And we're going to test and see if that gives us any benefit here. We know now that we're going to get better performance in more circumstances with the soft tyre actually, even though we're no longer saving ourselves an extra pit stop on one of the cars. But the Spec 2 soft tyre is just it's the one for us to be on. So no points this time. P12 for Takagi. Out goes Shinji Nakano. Hydraulic failure for him. Both arrows failed to make the finish. That's bad news indeed for them. Who took the points though? Mika Hakkinen is your winner in the Williams, 128.23.816. The Jordans, one of them remained in the points, the other one I guess failed to finish. They're having a real rough time with reliability on that car because it seems to have the pace. Newhouse and Hill make it a Ferrari 2-3. Panis takes P4 for Jordan, as we said. Tuero moves up a place, P5 in the Williams, and Pedro Diniz is your final points taker. Irvine still on course to be the drivers' champion this year, 46 points to Damon Hill's 38. Race winner Mika Hakkinen bringing up the rear on 31. He's still in the fight, I suppose, as is Newhouse. He's just got to work a little bit harder and rely on some attrition. Ferrari still top of the constructors' pile. 1 point separates Williams and Arrows in the fight for P2. If the Arrows came home in P2 in the second season and with a drivers' championship, that'd be pretty hardcore. I'm all for that. Profit of about $500,000 at that Grand Prix. That's news to my ears. Let's see if anyone's willing to sign with us. We're getting close. We're closing in on that Works Mobile 1 deal. And still no guarantee from Red Bull or any progress on the Mugen Honda deal. They're very reluctant to sign with us, but I think we'll get it. There has been some small progress on on the Bridgestone deal, probably arising from the fact we're bringing them along to hospitality now. Someone else is talking to Mugen Honda. This is bad news bears. How do I know that? Because they're no longer going to come to the Grand Prix with us. That means we'll put Red Bull back in that slot. It's not really worth. It's not really worth bringing anyone else along. Let's hope we can close out that partner deal before someone steals it from us, or else we'll be stuck with a customer. And it kind of breaks the immersion of the playthrough that we're having, where we're supposed to be the Honda team. Efficiency has been restored in the construction department, so we are getting 3 spare parts out again. Got some damage to fix on Nakano's car, but hopefully it's nothing too major. We've completed design stage 2. This is fabulous news, and our efficiency has jumped from 55 to 70%. Now we're really cooking with gas. We also have a cam facility for the modeling phase, so we've got a full boost to that stage. So we may actually be able to get the best car possible, given the designer that we've got. Still not working on the technology for next year's car or this year's, because we don't know if we'll be able to carry it over, so it seems kind of silly. I'm going to build another spare part and just pay for the pay a bit over the odds to get it produced. I think I'd rather start banking some now for when we have to sacrifice production capability to produce next year's car. My aim is to have 3 race cars next year again, so we can actually do some meaningful testing. Testing is going to become very important for us next year. Any staff, Governor? No, of course not. Any big news? So apparently there's rumours that I'm going to fire Nakano and Takagi. I can tell you that rumour is not true, as you will know. Shell have signed a deal with Ferrari. Looks like a works deal, but it's kind of hard to say. McLaren have become a customer of Elf. Oh, Pedro Diniz has bought a seat at Prost. That's certainly interesting. Stefano Domenicali has become the commercial lead at Sauber. It's quite a big signing for them. And more sponsors have been signed up. Arrows have a complete sponsor package for next year. God, they're doing well at the moment. It warms the cockles of my heart. Right, we've done everything we need to. We're trying to sponsor as best as we are able. Let's crack onwards. Yeah, no new specifications of anything. That sucks. 21 degrees and light rain. Now, Nakano's quite good in the rain. Unfortunately, our intermediate tyres are not anything really to write home about. Our wets are a little better, but we'll be on the intermediates in quali. Yeah, Takagi fails to qualify, alongside both Stewarts, Sarazan and Herbert, failing to meet the 107% requirement. Patrick Rainbow in the Benetton also fails to qualify. Both Prosts and Rossit's Minardi also failed to meet the 107% time, but were close enough that the FIA allowed them to partake. Meanwhile, Nakano qualifies ahead of the lot of them, including both Benettons, both Prosts, and one of the Minardis. That's a hell of an achievement for us, actually, with an undeveloped car. Bringing it home P14, just behind the Ferrari of Johnny Newhouse, who had a dire qualifying session by the looks of it. Hakkinen is your pole sitter in the Williams 116.271, ahead of fellow championship contenders Damon Hill in second and Eddie Irvine third, making it a Williams Ferrari front row and an Arrows McLaren second row, with Diniz qualifying strongly P4. Alesi's Sauber and Fisichella's Jordan keep each other company on row 3. Still light rain coming into the Grand Prix. Only Nakano to worry about, so I'm going to just let that strategy alone. P12, 3 laps down, but finished in front of two Ferraris that had a engine failure, both of them. Rossit's Minardi had a driver error, which of course it did, but he did finish 2 laps up on both Prosts and a lap up on Alexander Wurz's Benetton. And on the same lap as Tyrrell, Trulli, Panis, Barrichello and Coulthard, everyone up to and including Alesi in P3, hell of a drive for Alesi, has been lapped. Mika Hakkinen is your race winner. Eddie Irvine brings home the arrows in P2 to keep his championship hopes alive. Alesi, P3, hell of a drive for him. Double points for the arrows, Mika Salo taking P6. Deniz in the McLaren qualifies 4th, finishes 4th, and Fisichella's Jordan comes home P5, points for him. The gap at the front closes. Eddie Irvine still leads, 52 points, but Mika Hakkinen's catching up on 41. Damon Hill in P3 on 38. Ferrari still top of the constructors, but the gap has shrunk. Williams are now only 6 points behind. The Arrows still in P3 on 58. Right. A little bit more progress on that deal. And we have a works deal for fuel. This is big news. This is big news. That money will definitely go some way towards helping us out. I'm going to bump the tyre negotiations. Only 15% negotiation going on with Mobil 1. Reason being we want to actually be able to develop the fuels ourselves. Are there any sponsors, cheap sponsors we can get very, very, very quickly? I believe Brother is appropriate, but I'm open to being corrected. We also have our partnership deal for 1 season in place with Mugen Honda. Again, I'm going to leave a good 15% on there, negotiating some bonuses if we're able. Bridgestone will not come. Mugen Honda will not come, so we will bring Brother along and try and get some money out of them. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Another healthy profit. Right. Big political problems at Tyrrell. That's because everyone's annoyed, but they'll just have to be annoyed. Jordan and Goodyear have entered into a partnership. Minardi have entered into a partnership with Ford. That's a step down from Works Ferrari Power, but whatever. Sauber have signed a partnership with Total. General Electric signed with Benetton. Prost have signed Computer Associates. Castrol signed with Stewart. We're still not testing, which apparently qualifies as news. Ferrari and McLaren have completed their sponsorship completely, as have Williams. Peter Sauber is the most popular manager right now, and I am the least popular, despite doing quite well with a terrible car. There is no justice in this world, friends. Never forget it. Okay. What do we want to do? Staff. Can we hire any more staff? Only mechanics. Not really worth it. Okay, how's design going? Oh, we're making good progress. We're making very good progress. I'm going to let that run another round. We're going to come out here with quite a good car. Even though we've only got a 2-star designer, it should actually turn out to be fairly okay. Hopefully we can get similar performance levels on development out of next year's designer, which is a 3-star. And really, even with a 3-star designer, if you give the car enough time, you can have something that's good enough to make a challenge for the front. So already next year's car should be something of a step forward. Spare parts, we need to build them. Fortunately, there is I was going to say there's no wear on one of our cars, but it turns out that there is. So maybe those cars that weren't allowed to take part crashed in qualifying, but it didn't specify that. You'd think it'd make that clear to you. Nevertheless, we have enough spare parts to bring everything up to Tufty. Okie dokie. Everything else is set up as needed. Oh, we have a new specification engine. And again, they've made it better on fuel. Not something we actually needed, but never mind, we will take it. I'll put the third evolution engine in for both guys. Okay, 22 and very dry. Just a moment. Wee bit of a frog in my throat there. I didn't want to start hacking up fur balls at you down the microphone. So, yeah, not great. Back behind the Benettons again at this Grand Prix, but out-qualifying both Prost and both Stewarts. Takagi leading home Nakano, which has kind of been the story of the season, really. Takagi, despite being a worse driver on paper, is actually performing better. Pole goes to Giancarlo Fisichella in the Jordan, of all people. 142.075 ahead of resurgent Mika Hakkinen, 142.150. Eddie Irvine lines up third for Arrows, 142.199. Newhouse, Coulthard and Hill are the remainder of the top six. 28 degrees and dry with a strong wind for the German Grand Prix. We will not use heat cycle tyres here, and we'll see if that's any help. It is not. However, both cars do finish. Nakano seeming to have better race pace than Takagi in this case, getting past him and finishing ahead of Ralf Schumacher's Prost as well. Quite a few drivers out. 5 we lost. Ferrari with an accident for Johnny Newhouse. Engine failure taking out Sarazan Stewart and Barrichello Sauber. Hydraulic failure taking out championship contender Eddie Irvine in the Arrows. And an accident for Rossett in the Minardi because it's Rossett. Damon Hill is your race winner. That's good news for him because that should bring him back into something approaching contention for the Drivers' Championship. Coulthard takes second from McLaren. It's a Jordan 3-4 Panis leading Fisichella, who was on pole, and Williams are in the points with both cars, Hakkinen leading home Tyrrell. Hakkinen only managing a P5. That should still be enough to give him some ground on Eddie Irvine, though. So, Hill leaps ahead of Mika Hakkinen, and the three-way fight for the Drivers' Championship continues. Irvine is still your leader, 52 points to Hill's 48 and Hakkinen's 43. I believe Irvine's only won 1 or 2 races this year, but he's just been staggeringly consistent on the podium, and it shows. It really does. In the Constructors, Arrows now languished even further behind Williams. I had to correct myself there for a second because I thought there was a 10-point gap, and I thought, how does that work? But I just forgot how to count. Ferrari still atop of the pile, 78. Right, give me some good news, sponsors. A 3-season, 1.8 million deal? Yes, please. Come on, I need the partnership deal. Gibbs me. Sweet, we have a guarantee from Red Bull. That means that money, 20.14 million a season, cannot be taken away from us, even if they're super pissed off. That's really good news. I'm going to add this extra 10% to ongoing negotiations. See if we can't bring in a little more. Quite a lot of wear on our cars, but no damage, so that's good news. What's going on in design land? We've completed another stage of the design. We're actually ahead of schedule. From being way behind schedule, we've somehow ended up ahead of development schedule. The wind tunnel is the easiest bar to fill, and we actually have 2 to 3 rounds to finish up here. Ideally, I'll give it just one more round, actually, and try and give us enough time to build 3 cars. We'll see how the progress looks next round, but efficiency has jumped up to 90%, so we're really making good progress now. The team seems to be gelling a lot better. Even though morale is low, it's no longer 0. Drivers are still unhappy, but they'll have to be. It looks like Shinji Nakano has earned himself some performance points. He's actually a stronger driver than he was. Good on him. No staff to hire, unfortunately. That's okay though. Why don't we build ourselves some spare parts and get back to it? Efficiency has dropped in the construction department again. That's a real shame. But the team is still healthily profitable, and I really wasn't sure coming into the season that it was going to go that way. I really thought our days could very well have been numbered. So why don't we run a cheeky little test? Why not, eh? Why the devil not? 150 miles of testing, and we can see if the car will perform a bit better when it's actually set up. How about that? What a controversial thought. All of you working on setup. Kaboom. Nice. And then it doesn't cost us anything extra to get the wear off. We might not have enough mechanics left to totally fix up this car, but that's fine because we have a full setup available to us, and that's going to make our drivers happier immediately. In fact, it boosts morale for the whole team. I'm not going to be favoritist on any of our drivers. Any new tyres? No. Okay, we're going to stay on the soft compound Bridgestone Evolution 2 and the Evolution 3 Mugen Honda power units. No reason to go backwards. Sometimes there is. Sometimes a new spec will boost power but be much poorer with reliability, and then you have to kind of pick your battles a little bit, but it was a straight upgrade. 26 degrees, dry, strong wind for quali at the Hungaro ring. Let's see here. The setup achieved nothing. Still where we were, about a second down on the Benettons in quali trim and ahead of the Prost and Stewarts, but you know, it's all to play for in the race. 25 degrees for that particular round. Heat scrubbed tyres for Nakano, I think. Yeah, I think that works nicely. And he did alright. Boy done good. There was a lot of attrition though. A lot of brake failures going on. We lost Takagi to a brake failure. Sauber lost Barrichello, who's having a bit of a dire time actually with his reliability at the moment. Both Benettons failing to make the finish. Brake failures also taking out Ralf Schumacher's Prost and Esteban Tuero's Williams. Engine failure for Mika Salo in the Jordan and Olivier in the Arrow, and Olivier Panis in the Jordan. Let's see what's going on the sharp end. Damon Hill is your race winner. It's a Ferrari 1-2. Eddie Irvine back on the podium where he belongs in P3. David Coulthard P4 for McLaren. Hakkinen adds another P5 to his tally, and Deniz takes the last points paying position. So 2 Ferraris and 2 McLarens in the points there. Damon Hill takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship, 2 points clear of Eddie Irvine. Mick Hakkinen in third on 45 points. Ferrari have bagged the Constructors' title. I believe there's not enough rounds left now for things to change, but it's all to play for P2 because less than 10 points separate Williams, Arrows and McLaren in the fight for P2 in the Constructors, so that'll be interesting to watch out. No progress on the 3-season deal with Brother, no boosts to Mobile 1, still no partnership deal with Bridgestone, but it's coming, I can feel it. I can feel it in my waters. Still no bonuses for the Mugen Honda deal either, but it's only for 1 season, so I don't care so much if we don't get any boost. How's the design phase going? I'm going to give it a little more time in the wind tunnel. That's not a level I'm happy with at all, actually. And I'm not going to run testing because it clearly did nothing for us. The car is just bad. It's just a bad car. And setting it up doesn't seem to do it any favours. Although, you know, a P8 finish was quite good, but to be honest, we've finished better than that without setting up the car, and he was only in P8 because of the attrition, I think. Any staff for us to hire? Got to keep our eye out for that talent. No. Okay, then I'll call it here for an episode, I think. I hope you guys had an excellent Saturday, and we will speak again tomorrow. A bit more Tyrrell time, bit of Sauber time. You know how it goes. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.